You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Damasiewicz.
Now, it's time for Stump Daniel.
Yeah, and I was a little bit inspired by everything that's going on with the Mariners right now. So, as a lead into this, I just want to say, I don't want to put everyone's business out there, but we had a little conversation on our Facebook Messenger earlier this week when the Mariners were on a little 3-game win streak. And
I think at the time it might have only been 2.
It might have only been 2, but you guys are watching
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis and J.P. Crawford and Evan White, right?
Yes.
Make plays, although Evan White's batting like 150 now.
Yeah.
But you're watching these guys and you started to feel optimistic. And
hold up here. You projected that onto me hardcore, and I can bring back the messages. I never said I was optimistic about this year.
No, Andrew did.
Andrew was trolling you and saying that he was optimistic about this year, and you kept saying, you guys, don't do this, you guys. They do this. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
They're going to be terrible this year.
Well,
hold up.
I think I'm going to handle this
I'm
delicately.
just saying, 16 teams are going to the playoffs.
We're not making it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm going to handle this delicately, Daniel, because I feel like my massive amount of Mariners negativity actually gets to you a little bit. I think it does. I think it bothers you. But
Not as much as people throwing at people.
what I felt like watching you guys, I'm going to lump you in again.
Okay.
Watching you guys be optimistic about the young players.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
Okay.
guys, we've done this before. We've been there before. Don't let them trick you. And I felt like I was in The Walking Dead and I was watching you guys being eaten by zombies, knowing there was nothing I could do about it. Like, I felt so helpless in that moment. So I started thinking, what could I do to really crush Daniel's spirit on the Mariners? So I went back and I looked at just a very little, I only have 4 questions today, but this is a little Seahawks versus Mariners recent history.
Oh, that's not nice.
But
Why did it even have to be recent history?
because the interesting thing is, the instant the Mariners started going down the toilet, the Seahawks became pretty competitive on a regular basis.
Started going down the toilet?
Yeah.
1977?
Well, you can't get. I mean, there was some success in the. We've talked a lot about the mid to late 90s and how disappointing it was.
Yeah.
But they had some success there.
Okay.
In 2001, they tied the record for most wins.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
everything went down the tubes after that.
Yep.
But it also coincides with the same time that the Seahawks started getting good
That's
on
true.
a fairly consistent basis. So I have a few questions for you, okay? Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damasiewicz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damasiewicz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damasiewicz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damasiewiczlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com. The Seahawks have not had a losing season and have only missed the playoffs one time since Russell Wilson took over under center in 2012. How many times during that 8-year stretch have the Seahawks won the NFC West? 8 years.
Since Russell took over?
Yep, it's 8 years. It's 7 playoff appearances. How many times did they win the division?
Win the division. Well, there's the Super Bowl year. There's the year they went to the Super Bowl. Wow, their division's really good. Let's see. So, trying to remember their playoff games in those situations. So they traveled Russell's first year, so it wasn't that. Then they won the Super Bowl his second year. Went back third year. I'm going to say 3, just because that can't be right.
Wow, your thought process was really impressive there.
Is it 3?
It's 3.
Yes!
So you got it. I like the way you I like how you tracked there because you knew the two.
Yeah.
The year they won the Super Bowl and the year they lost the Super Bowl. They won the division both times. And then you knew in the next 5 years there had to be another
It had to
one.
be at least one.
They won one other time in 2016 and then lost in the divisional round of the playoffs.
Who did they lose to that year? Was that the year they lost to the Panthers, where they just gacked all over themselves?
That was the year they lost to the Falcons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that game.
Lost 36-20 to the Falcons.
Wow.
All right. So pre-Russ era,
Okay.
before 2012, how many consecutive losing seasons
Wow.
did the Seahawks have before Russ?
Wait. Like right before or
Yes.
in the history?
Immediately before.
2.
It's actually 4.
Okay.
In there, though, they did win the division once with a 7-9 record. So there was
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
some amount of success there.
I was counting before Pete Carroll.
Okay. But if you count backwards from Russ, they were 7-9, 7-9, 5-11, and 4-12. And the year Pete Carroll took over was the year that they went 7-9 and won the division. So
Okay.
Pete Carroll has had 2 losing seasons as the Seahawks coach. Both were 7-9.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you are 1 for 2.
1 for 2. I need to nail the next 2.
The Mariners
Yeah.
have gone 18 straight seasons
Yeah.
without making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
How many times during that season did they have a winning record?
Oh boy. 18 seasons. I'm gonna say.
Every time that bong bong ping hits, it makes me laugh. I'm sorry. Again, it's bad radio.
So they missed the playoffs by like 1 or 2 games a couple years, and they had a few times where they were pretty good, and they made some signings, and we were all excited about the next year, and then they gacked all over themselves.
Which is where it's the trap you guys are falling into right now.
I'm gonna say 7.
That's correct.
Yes!
7 times, which actually was a number, it was a little higher than I thought it was going to be. But part of that is because immediately after the 116 win season, they won 93 games 2 years in a row. They were actually competitive those years.
Competitive, they were really good. But
Yeah.
they won 90 games. Usually 90 games gets you into the playoffs. Like, and with the
Yes.
2 wild card teams, that easily gets you into the playoffs.
Right.
90 is usually a decent benchmark.
Yeah, they were pretty good. They
Yeah.
were pretty good those years. They also had, in 2007, they won 88 games. In 2009, they won 85 games.
And that's why 2010 was one of the most disappointing seasons.
Yeah, when they lost 101 games.
Yeah.
Yep. In 2014, they won 87. Now, I think this was about the time that they were really starting to look like they were going to be better. And then the next year they lost 86 games.
Ugh.
Then they came back and won 86 games. Then
And
they
missed
went
the
back
playoffs
and,
by one game, I
yes.
believe.
Yep. And then they then lost 84 games the next year. However, you only have to go back to 2018 for an 89 win Mariners team, which again was pretty close to making it into the playoffs.
So close. It was like 2 games.
But this is why I realized the thing they do best is not continuously lose. The thing they do best is continuously get your hopes up just to dash them.
That's true.
But this,
Even the next year in 2019, when we all knew they were going to be bad, what'd they do at the beginning of the season?
they went 13-2.
Yeah, they went nuts just to get me excited.
And then they only won 68 games.
Yeah.
So they won 13 of the first 15, then ended up losing. Okay.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty well right now. You're 2 for 3.
I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Okay. So during that 18 season stretch, I might have given you this answer too.
You're trying to... You're like, crap,
I'm trying to remember if I... Yeah, okay. During that stretch, see how good your memory is.
Uh-oh.
How many times have the Mariners won 90 games or more?
2. You just said it was 2 times right after 2001.
I know, but then I was thinking maybe you'd get mixed up in there at some point. Boy, I really lost this Stump Daniel this week. Not only did you get 3 of 4, but I accidentally gave you one of the answers. You know why that happened? Because I changed the 4th question.
What was it?
I was initially going to ask you how many times the Mariners had lost 100 games or more.
That would have been tough.
Yeah, and I was going to try to go back further. But then I decided I wanted to keep it in this time frame. And I'm flustered now. I have flustered myself. I failed.
Well, that was Stump Daniel. Brought to you.
Don't
by
say the sponsor
office-
name. He'll be embarrassed by my failure.
Brought to you by the office of Jeffrey A. Damasiewicz.